Washington Baptist Church. This is Minister White with my mask on. I'm sitting with Pastor Sneed with his mask on, but we're actually going to take our mask off for a moment for our discussion today. Hello, and welcome to a slight moment, a little conversation we're going to have with Pastor Sneed, who's got some information for us all concerning the returning to church services. Pastor Sneed, I must say that this has been a year, a little over a year, that who would have thought that we would not have been able to congregate into our church building for church because of COVID-19. It has been quite a surprise and a shock to everyone. I am so sure of that. But some good news, we are contemplating returning to the sanctuary pretty soon, but I know there's some protocols that are set in place.
Right.
And this is where you can tell us your feelings and thoughts on it as to the instruction that we'll be following and what people will go through. And knowing that we're not the only church doing that. Other churches have opened up and people are coming back to church. But we got some things that we've got to set in place just for the persons or people's security, their safety, their concerns, and things of that nature. So how about you give us a sort of a targeted look at what that's going to look like?
Okay. Well, the church is actually planning on having services back in our sanctuary on August 22nd, which is the fourth Sunday in the month of August. Prior to that, however, we've been making plans behind the scenes to get things ready. As you know, we've had outdoor parking lot services during the summer, which have been fantastic. As a matter of fact, it's been so great and been well received by members that even when we come back, it would be great to be able to have an occasional parking lot service because it was hot, but it was fun, and I like to have the fun without the heat. So sometime, hopefully, in the latter part of the fall or thereafter, we'd like to have another outdoor parking lot service or two. But in addition to the outdoor parking lot services, we've had church surveys, and the church surveys kind of want to get the members' feelings about what their feelings were about reentry and any concerns they may have, and would they be willing to come back upon the return of the church. And 4 out of the 5 members who answered the survey indicated that they would be coming back when the church building is open. Some indicated that they wanted to have certain protocols in place. And so those factors we have considered. We recently had several church leadership meetings, which is combined of our deacons and our board. We've had several meetings to discuss reentry. We also had a ministry leaders meeting this past Wednesday night. And we hope to allow you to have a Q&A session real soon to answer questions that you may have prior to coming back. So we plan on coming back on the 22nd. We will have 8 o'clock service. We'll have 11 o'clock service. Our service times have been abbreviated, so we're not going to have your traditional 2-hour services in which we've been accustomed to. Our services will last about 75 minutes. But we're also going to have limited seating capacity, so we're not going to just open up the church and let whomever come and be filled to the brim. So we have a seating capacity, Minister White.
You know, what you just said, we're not going to open up, just let whoever comes come. It's sort of, it kind of goes against church protocol for all these years that come as you are and be in a place of worship where we want people to come, invite them. This is a very different situation that we've been placed in, which I think means that we'll, somehow be creative like we've been, because we've still got to get the good news of the gospel out. And hopefully this won't be too long before we can have a full building and full of church service. But isn't it amazing? I thought I heard you mention something about when it comes down to the COVID-19 vaccine, where you have people who are afraid to take the vaccine, and then those people are afraid of COVID. So that puts them in a very precarious kind of a situation. I know you promote it for people to get the vaccine. I'm fully vaccinated, and I believe you are too.
I am fully vaccinated.
So it's sort of a vice grip. You're scared of the vaccine or have concerns about it, but you also have concerns about COVID. And it's been said statistically that the people who have been getting sick recently have been more people who have not had the COVID vaccine than those that have. You want to comment on that? Or
Well, it was stated, and public record indicates that 99% of the people that have been hospitalized in IC units on ventilators and those who've even passed were people who were not vaccinated. And so statistically speaking, your chances of getting sick and even dying increases due to a person's unwillingness to get vaccinated. The second thing that is true is that you have the Delta strand, which is out now. The Delta strand is a lot more contagious, and it also has wreaked havoc not just on people with pre-existing conditions, but also has wreaked havoc on even kids and teenagers. So there's good evidence. Research indicates that there's a need to get vaccinated. And so one of the things that we have in place here at Ben Washington, because of our technology, and those who have chosen not to get vaccinated, number one, we do have online services, which Minister White and the IT team and others have been very instrumental in getting us to a place where we can provide online services for our Sunday morning worship services, our Bible studies. So we still have that capability, and we still plan to utilize it. And so for those individuals who have pre-existing conditions, which causes them a little angst about coming back right away, and those who are unvaccinated, we're encouraging you to continue online services. But for those who have been fully vaccinated and who want to come back to the church, the overwhelming sentiment has been that they're ready to come back. And so we're going to have some protocols in place, again, because even though you've been fully vaccinated, according to the research and the data, you still may be able to catch the Delta virus, but the research says, and I've talked to doctors myself personally, and that because you're vaccinated, your immunity system has been built up, and you'll have very little symptoms if you happen to get the virus. And so what we're trying to do is to make all the right calls about what church should look back when we come back on the 22nd. So one of the things that we want to do is we're emphasizing as a requirement is that when you come back during the service, which will be no more than 75 minutes, you need to wear your mask upon entry into the building and into the sanctuary. So that's number one. Number two, the services are shorter. So if you're uncomfortable with a mask, you won't have to endure wearing a mask for 2 or 3 hours. I was on a plane to Seattle just recently, and it's a 4-hour flight, and I had to wear a mask for 4 hours. But even getting into the airport, I had to wear a mask for about another hour or so just to get on the plane. So I actually endured wearing a mask at least 6 hours. So
it's commonplace now.
Yeah.
Very commonplace. You know, for safety reasons and for the safety of yourself and safety of others, wearing a mask is a small task, I think. But, you know, when we think about, you know, I was one of the ones at one time wasn't thinking about getting the vaccine. It wasn't hardcore, but I just felt like, I don't need a vaccine, I don't want a vaccine. And then I had a conversation with a friend of mine that convinced me that a vaccine would probably be a good thing to do, and they spoke about new technology. I am a proponent of new technology. But when you think about what are the reasons that people don't want the vaccine, let's say it's fear or conspiracy theories that they've heard about and things of that nature. But I will say this, that, you know, if anybody has ever had an ailment and had to go to your doctor for a cold or for something going on, and that doctor writes you a prescription of a medicine you've never seen before, maybe never even heard before, you go straight to the pharmacist and get it filled, and you start taking that medicine because it's said it's going to make you better. And that happens quite a bit. Even when you think about the advent of Advil and Tylenol and different drugs like that, when they're introduced pretty much like COVID introduced, and people start to use the drugs. I remember Aleve, one of the brand names, when it first came out, it takes care of headaches better, and people start migrating to it. It didn't seem to be that kind of a fear for drugs for certain ailments that it is for COVID. Now, when we look back when COVID first started, look at the thousands and thousands and thousands of people that died from COVID. And then they get a medicine for it. It almost seems like, why wouldn't people want the medicine for something that's killing thousands of people? It wasn't the medicine that was killing them, it was the virus. So if they create a virus that's supposed to stop so many people from dying, it would seem to be an easy decision to make. But people have their fears, and I'm for it. Do what you want to do, but find some good advice and good reason for it. Now, you mentioned mask, and I think also sanitizing. We're still going to be doing sanitizing hands and sitting so many feet apart from one another and that kind of thing. We already we sanitize microphones so that when someone is going to use a mic, we already wipe that clean. So those are good practices. And the outdoor services have been great. That's been really fun. This Texas heat is something else, though.
That is true.
We're being outside. I'm from California. But you said 4 out of 5 people seem to be very interested in coming back to church, and I think that's a good thing, because we're living in a time where your spiritual health is starting to wane. At least we're starting to see that in our country, where religion or Christianity is starting to sort of suffer some hits.
We're living in perilous times, as the Bible says. And we're living in times, I believe in the book of Esther, the statement was made, perhaps we were made for such a time as these. And so I believe that our generation of believers, we are tasked with the challenge to still present the good news, share the good news, to worship the Lord. I do believe that there are going to be some changes from pre-pandemic to post-pandemic, or even towards the waning end of pandemic, that you as members need to be aware of. So initially coming back into the church, we're going to ask our members to pre-register. You'll have an opportunity to pre-register online. If you have access to a computer, you can actually call in to the church office and indicate that you plan to attend either the 8 o'clock service or the 11 o'clock service. Now, you may be asking, well, why do I need to pre-register if I'm a member of Ben Washington Baptist Church? That's because the initial reentry into the building, we're going to have a limited seating capacity. That seating capacity is going to be up to 60 individuals. Now, we have some individuals, because they are actually essential to the service. They're either preaching, they're either videotaping, or they're singing. And so we have to have a set number of essential workers, but we also have to have a number of seats available for those who are coming as members who simply want to come and worship and enjoy being back into the physical building. And so pre-registration is going to be essential. You'll be getting more details about that hopefully in the coming days. And so between now and the 22nd, you'll get some more information, but there will be a pre-registration requirement, and you just have to indicate 8 o'clock or 11 o'clock. And so and if you're a member and you still enjoy Sunday school like we all have enjoyed Sunday school the past year, we'll have Sunday school available online as well. And so those who want to actually physically come to the church but also have access to Sunday school following church, those individuals can stay and can watch Sunday school and then leave. So we've kind of organized some things, but there's a pre-registration. We also are going to make sure that people come into the church, they either have a mask or perhaps they need a mask. So we have plenty of masks, we have plenty of hand sanitizers, we have temperature guns that'll check your temperature to make sure that you don't have a fever, because you may actually be sick and don't quite know it. And so we have those available. We have spray guns to spray mist to make sure that the pews have been wiped down and sanitized. So there are things that we've been planning for months and months and months to get ready for this time. And so we're fast approaching it. We just want to make you aware of it, and we want to get you excited about it. And I do believe that those who may not be willing to come back in the beginning, as things seem to stabilize, that they'll be back as soon as they can. I think it's going to be great. We don't want any member of Minister White to feel pressured to come back right away.
Right.
They come back prayerfully, they come back healthy, and we want to be able to answer any question that they may have.
Well, I am going to pressure you to keep reading your Bible and read your word every day. You don't have to wait till Sunday or a Wednesday night for Bible study. Read that Bible, read that word every day. You know, right now there seems to be somewhat of a relaxed atmosphere among most people that we see, but this COVID-19 is not over yet. It's not over, you know, but like I say, people seem to think, you know, we relax, you don't see people wearing masks anymore. You know, if you're fully vaccinated, you don't seem to be required by the government. But COVID-19 is not over with yet. It is still alive and well. And so I think we still have to be just as careful now as we were before, with a little more caution. You feel comfortable, that's better. But it's very interesting times that we're living in right now.
You know, it's not over, that's for sure. But for those who've been vaccinated, they have a certain comfort level that if somehow they were infected by the virus, it would not be to the extreme ends that you see happening now with those who are unvaccinated. So yes, we're still going to be vigilant. And I think I said the other day, if for some reason things went to the far extreme where it was precarious for people to even come back to in person, we would be able to stop right away and still have services like we've had all throughout the process because of the technology. And so for that, I feel pretty good about it.
Why don't we just get a mega church and then everybody can come back to church? Just one that seats 5,000 people, and we can space apart and do that kind of thing. It's interesting too. I'm glad that we're able and capable now to do live streaming when we were not before COVID. But that gives us opportunity to reach more people even after the COVID thing does die out. So that's a good thing. Anything else you'd like to add?
Well, I just want to say to the members, just I want you to know that because I've had COVID and I was very sick, I would not want to put anyone in a position where they would experience what I've experienced or even worse. And so we're not making the decisions. We're not rushing into it. As a matter of fact, a number of churches have started back at the early part of 2021, some in the early spring, some in the early summer. We have purposely and intentionally tried to be prudent, but as you also know, we suffered damage to our church building because of the winter freeze that took place in Texas. And so we were able to get the repairs done. Those repairs pretty much concluded at the end of June, early part of July, and we've still been doing some fine tuning of that. And so when you come back into the building, for those of you that have not been in the building since March of 2020, you're going to see a different building because of the improvements that have taken place. And I want to thank our board, our deacons, many who've been very helpful during the pandemic, and the many volunteers that have allowed us to continue to provide ministry, either teaching, Bible study, working with our youth, food pantry. There have been a lot of people who've helped the writing of the checks, to make sure the bills are paid. We've had so many people who have volunteered, but I want to ask you to continue to pray for us because, as Minister White said, it's not over yet. And because it's not over, we're going to stay on our knees, we're going to keep praying, and we're going to keep trying to do God's will and seek His face.
Yeah, good deal. This is the Pastor's Corner. I failed to mention that earlier, but we haven't had one in a while. But this is the Pastor's Corner where he gets to talk about whatever is on an agenda and whatever concerns people of all races, creeds, and colors. So thanks a lot for being here. And,
I appreciate it, Mr. White. And just, I actually have a special mask that says, "Great dads get promoted to grandpa." And so I'm just excited because one of the things that I gained that's actually pretty exciting is during the pandemic, I became a grandpa. So this is a special mask I wear on special occasions. So if you see me wearing it on reentry, it's because I'm so happy to be a granddad.
I just got the regular old blue mask, but I guess it works. So all right, so we'll talk again soon.
God bless you. Thank you so much.